Hello, I'm Ken Leonard, part of the Transportation Guys team, for Jack Watley, president and founder of the Transportation Guys Recruiting and Staffing Company. Welcome to our mini training, all about your difficulties finding, hiring, and retaining the truck drivers you need. What every company in the trucking industry needs to know about the real answer to your recruiting troubles. That you must know to keep your trucks rolling and keep your customers happy. Today you'll discover a cost-effective solution you may have overlooked, and how, by overlooking this situation, you're causing yourself more stress and problems than you should have to deal with, all while you still have a business to run. If you're having recruiting and retention problems in your company, this will be the most important mini training you've ever experienced. This is a crucially important training for any trucking industry professional. We encourage you to carve out a few minutes right now and get this urgent news that is especially focused on you. Now, if you're not familiar with Jack, he is known as the driver guy, the go-to guy if you want to hire experienced truck drivers. Jack with the Transportation Guys. For the last 16 years, Jack's companies have recruited tens of thousands of truck drivers for some of the country's top trucking companies, private fleets, and third-party logistics carriers, serving all different industries. Jack and the Transportation Guys help companies of all different sizes in just about every region of the country. A mishap and the demand for drivers from Jack's recruiting and staffing clients led him to create the most sophisticated and advanced truck driver recruiting and hiring system in the trucking industry, the Driver DNA hiring system. With more than 16 years of in-the-trenches experience hiring top driver talent in today's market, Jack Watley's Driver DNA hiring system is the most effective high-performance truck driver recruiting system in the world, all based on the science of truck driver recruiting in the new economy job market. Here's how it all started, and why you should know Jack's background and how much you and he may be alike before we continue, including what happened in Jack's life that prompted him to take action to improve a situation that enabled Jack to move from a place of frustration and a failing business to owning a business where he helps trucking companies, private fleets, and third-party logistics carriers, both large and small, to hire the best drivers in the market, keep their trucks rolling, and keep their customers happy. Let's begin with Jack's story. Things were a lot different when Jack started hiring truck drivers for a living. He opened a recruiting and staffing company back in 2000, not knowing anything about the trucking industry. The market research said there was a driver shortage, and if you could hire truck drivers, there would be a big demand. They were right, and he had success in the beginning. Jack was on fire, hiring lots of truck drivers. His company billed $1 million in recruiting fees the first 6 months, until he hired Walter. He said he got injured while exiting the truck. Guess he never heard of a 3-point dismount. Well, that accident set off a chain reaction of events that pushed Jack to his limit. First off, the injury was a little fishy, and it really started to stink as it went on. After 6 months of no work restriction from the doctor, Jack went to talk to the doc to see what was going on, and the doctor released Walter to modify duty. Then Walter would change doctors and it would start all again. In the risk management world, that's called doctor shopping. Needless to say, this went on for about 2 years. The worst thing was, Jack's workers' compensation insurance rate went through the roof because of Walter. His experience mod went to 174%, which made his insurance cost more than double. Jack almost went out of business. He had to take drastic action to turn it around, or he would go out of business and all would be lost. Jack had to make a decision. Was he going to let a loser pulling an insurance scam put him out of business and win, or was he going to win? What he did was, Jack made it his life's mission to save his business and to never let this happen to him again. And Jack did win. After becoming a certified risk management specialist, Jack moved on to his next task, becoming the best interviewer he could be. So he studied behavioral-based interview techniques. Then he studied skills-based interview techniques. After Jack had interviewing down cold, he moved on to the study of human behavior. Jack started with the science behind decision-making and how to influence the decision-making process. Once that was mastered, he moved on to the career decision-making process. Think about it. Most people are wired to be resistant to career change because career decisions are among the most stressful of life's decisions. Once Jack understood how and why job seekers made career decisions, he went one step further and studied with Peter Lefkowitz, one of the most successful headhunters of top executives ever. Jack flew out to learn his Morgan methodology, recruiter training, from him personally. Then Jack took what he does to recruit high-level executives and used it to recruit truck drivers. With all of this knowledge, Jack Watley created a truck driver hiring system that is based on risk management principles, professional hiring practices, human behavior, and psychology, all blended with DOT and FMCSA rules and regulations. He calls it the Driver DNA hiring system. This unique hiring system was able to bring down his experience modification from 174 to 106 in 3 short years. Normally, that would have taken 5 years at least. Jack's workers' compensation carrier was so surprised, they showed up to the transportation guy's office to do a surprise audit. They thought Jack was cheating. After they learned what he had done, they asked him to share his driver DNA hiring system with their policyholders. The system was working like crazy. Jack was even honored with the Golden Gate Award from Cal OSHA for safety. Best of all, it had a surprise side effect. Our interview to hire ratio went up 3-fold. Putting drivers through the system, we were hiring more top driver talent than ever before. To Jack's surprise, we made less bad hires and our retention increased dramatically. These increases were across the board in all of the different industries we serve and the different types of drivers we provide our customers. These increases continue to this day. For the transportation guys and our large and small trucking company, private fleet, and third-party logistics carrier clients. This is proof that the science of truck driver recruiting is the real deal, and it can bring a recruiting advantage to anyone who leverages it. However, Jack's proprietary hiring system has many moving parts. Just like we talked about in the past, how truck driver recruiting and retention is hard, learning Jack's driver DNA hiring system is not for the faint of heart. Those who use it go through weeks and weeks of training and coaching just to use the system successfully. In fact, right now, I'm going to give you a quick look at the big picture overview of our driver DNA hiring system. This preview comes directly from our high-level recruiting training program, the Truck Driver Recruiter Coaching Program. Now here's Jack. I'll be back with you shortly.
And that I'm going to share with you has been adjusted, refined, and tweaked over the last 16 years. So it will crank out qualified drivers like a well-oiled machine in the new economy job market. It's the system that we use today in my recruiting and staffing company to hire thousands of truck drivers for our diverse client base. There are only 3 pillars that you need to know to recruit top truck driver talent in the new economy job market, and they make up all the difference, whether you succeed or fail. Whether you spend endless time and money trying to find a qualified truck driver to accept your job offer, or whether you have drivers waiting to get started today. See, these 3 pillars will take you from where you are now to where you want to be, with a good driver team making deliveries on time as fast as possible. Now, these 3 pillars are not often talked about, but yet make all the difference in your search for qualified truck drivers. They are different than what you've been sold on and told what to do. They are different from the methods that you've been using up until now, and they are the keys to hiring and retaining qualified truck drivers in the new economy job market. And I know this because my company uses these 3 pillars every day to hire over-the-road, regional, and local truck drivers serving all different industries in the new economy job market. The driver DNA hiring system can be divided into 3 parts: market, message, and method. The first of these 3 pillars is market. Market is your target customer or your driver's needs, wants, desires, fears and frustrations, dreams and aspirations. It's how truck drivers go about looking for a job or job seek and what a truck driver looks for in a job. The second pillar is message, and that's getting your message to the market and how you say it. It's how you create your company messaging that explains your company's career opportunity. And method is the most important of the 3 pillars because it's how we're going to deliver your company messaging. We call it the collaborative interview. Now, the collaborative interview is designed to leverage internal decisions that align your driver recruit's values to your company's values, building a common bond that fosters company loyalty and reduces employee turnover. Mess up on any of these, and your recruiting efforts will be harder than necessary. The driver DNA hiring system has a lot going on under the hood. It's the science behind what we do and why it works. It includes psychology, human behavior, how job seekers make career decisions, and more. Skip one of these pillars, and you'll have an incomplete recruiting process, causing bad hires and driver churn in the new economy job market. Here's a 30,000-foot view of what we'll be covering in our truck driver recruiting course. In week 1 of our coaching program, you'll start off with the welcome and orientation video. Now, during your first week, we're going to focus on getting you prepared to dive in with both feet into a new kind of driver recruiting that will enable you to recruit safety-conscious drivers for your company. And by the time you've completed the truck driver recruiting coaching program, you'll have given your company a secret advantage over 95% of their competition. And you'll become a superstar recruiter in the process and earning the title of Certified Driver Recruiter. In week 2, we're going to start off with Market Research Training 1, discovering what truck drivers want in the new economy job market. Now, the first pillar we'll dive into is market, where your whole world is about to change for the better, because you'll begin to be getting introduced to the new economy job market, and you'll see why things are different and how we're going to exploit this difference to give us the edge in our recruiting. You'll find out why you can't afford to operate in the same old ways anymore in the new economy job market. And in this time of rapid change, by standing still is going to be the worst course of action. And the fact is, you must change how you go about hiring truck drivers if you want to survive in the great driver shortage. And when you do, you'll see that the driver shortage is actually our hidden secret advantage, our friend, once you understand what a truck driver really wants in a job. And you'll see that drivers in the new economy job market are applying for many more companies at the same time. And when they get a job, they're still looking for something better. Yes, you heard me correctly. Because of the driver shortage, drivers know they have the power. They know companies are desperately seeking to hire them, which is why you must discover exactly what a truck driver really wants in the new economy job market. And we have the answers for that, what they're looking for in a job. You have the power. You'll be introduced to the most important concept in part 1 of our marketing training, with them, which stands for What's in it for me, as we shift your focus from just giving drivers a job to giving them what they really want and focusing on what's in it for the driver, while recognizing these troubling facts. 50% of job seekers who get jobs are actively searching for a new job on the job boards within 2 weeks of being hired. Now, that grows to 70% in the first 90 days of being hired. This means there's no such thing as driver loyalty anymore. And for you to not lose your driver recruit to your competition, you have to take your truck driver recruit out of the job market before you even hire them. And you'll find out exactly how to do this in this coaching program. Remember, you're going to have a homework assignment or quizzes after each and every training, which you'll submit to me by email, and I will forward to your supervisor, so do your best. You'll get access to our live coaching call after this and every training, where you can get any of your questions answered and your homework assignments reviewed by me personally. So let's move on to the second training, week 2, Market Research Training 2. Creating your company's answers to the most important job requirements truck drivers want. Now, you may be wondering exactly how you're supposed to know exactly what a truck driver really wants in a job. Well, you'll get all the details in part 2 of your training as I walk you through creating your company's answers to the 5 critical job requirements that truck drivers are looking for in a job, plus the 2 special wildcard job requirements truck drivers are secretly looking for in a job. Miss getting these right, and you're in for a long, bumpy recruiting road ahead. And with my help, we'll make sure that you get them right the first time. Next, you'll be ready to move on to week 3 of our training, Message, where we set up and deliver our job offer, creating your company messaging about your career opportunity. Now, as we move into the second of the 3 pillars message, you'll discover how to create effective communications for your driver recruits. First, you'll build on what you've already learned in the market to analyze your competitors' messaging and job offers. Next, we'll walk you through the all-important task of writing out your job offer, and you'll see how to talk to your driver candidates in words and ideas that they understand and can relate to. You'll also be introduced to your company's story, where you'll see how we position your career opportunity that you're offering your driver recruits. And you'll be introduced to the power behind the truck driver recruiting coaching program, the collaborative interview, which we'll go into deep later on in the training. So let's get on to week 3, Message, Training 2, how to set up and deliver our job offer and our minimum hiring requirements. In your second training in week 3, you'll see how to communicate your company's minimum hiring requirements properly to your driver recruits and to establish the skill set your company needs in a driver so that we don't talk to anyone who doesn't meet our hiring requirements. You'll also discover how we use our day-in-the-life job description to clearly identify the skill set needed and enable us to talk to the driver recruits in words that they understand and can relate to. Next, you'll find out what your company story is and how to blend it with the 5 job requirements and the 2 wildcard job requirements for your driver recruit to get them to think, man, I want to go to work for these guys. Then you'll move on to week 4, pillar message training 3, creating and communicating the company story, your secret weapon. Now, a strong company story will show your driver recruit that you have a career opportunity and just not any old job. In the first training in week 4, you'll find out what makes your company and your job offering different than the rest while leveraging with them. That's what's in it for me based on what we know that truck drivers really want in order of importance. This will set up the interview so the obvious choice to work for is your company. Now, I'll take you through this step by step, the entire process of creating this effective company story. Then we're going to be on to week 4, message training 4, and this is where we do the big picture overview of the collaborative interview. In this training, I'll start by giving the big picture overview of the collaborative interview process. That way, when we get into deploying it in our last and final pillar method, it'll make sense to you, okay? Now, the collaborative interview is a combination of behavioral-based interview techniques combined with skills-based interview techniques that are structured in risk management principles. Now, it's based on the principles of psychology and job seeker behavior conducted in a straight-talk and no-bull conversational manner. And it's designed to make your driver recruit that you're talking to feel comfortable so you're able to get a real read on that person. So you can link that person's values to your company's values through their internal decisions. Now, the collaborative interview is a method that we use to deliver our company story. The collaborative interview is done in 2 parts. We deploy the first part on the pre-screen vetting call. Then we implement the second part in our show of knowledge and the DOT application. Now, you're going to love how all this comes together and it works so well. Now, in a later training, I'll walk you step by step through developing your own scripts to use in the collaborative interview process. Once you've experienced this overview, you're on to the 3rd and final pillar method in week 5. Method training 1, the collaborative interview part 1, the pre-screening vetting call. In this training, you'll find out step by step how to intake a driver into the hiring process while addressing their needs, desires, fears, frustrations, dreams, and aspirations. First, you'll learn the steps that we need to do in the pre-screen vetting call, which are build rapport. Then we set the expectations by framing the call. Then we ask the perfect job question. Then we tell them our company story, and then we set up the next step, which is psychologically taking your driver recruit out of the job market. Then I'll walk you through how to respond to an ad call and the objectives of the pre-screen vetting call, and you'll see exactly what to say during this revealing training. Then I'll walk you through how to respond when you receive a resume, along with your objectives on the pre-screen vetting call. Timing makes all the difference, and you'll see exactly how to approach this. You'll discover the best approach for pre-qualifying someone on the phone. In this training, you're also going to get a quick training in the training to make sure that you indeed are talking to your idea driver candidate. Then you'll see what to do after you've qualified someone over the phone regarding the do's and don'ts when sending out your interview application if you want that application returned to you in a timely fashion. Then we move on to week 5, method training 2, part 2 of the collaborative interview and the pre-screen vetting call. Now, in part 2, we're going to continue with the different question types that you'll use in the collaborative interview process, where I'm going to give you a lot of examples and exactly how to use these different questions in the interview process. I'll also talk about why we use these questions and introduce you to the important concept called internal decisions, and that's what's happening inside the mind of your prospects. Next, you'll learn how to use the perfect job question to see exactly what your driver recruit really wants in a job, and you'll see exactly where your company story comes in. And here's where we're ready to take the driver recruit psychologically out of the job market, and I'll take you through this each and every step for making this happen before they're even hired. Then we'll move on to week 5, method training 3, part 3 of the collaborative interview, the pre-screen vetting call, the interview application, and the second interview. Next, as we continue through the pre-screen vetting call training, I'll walk you through using the collaborative interview process as you conduct the in-house face-to-face interview. You'll see how to walk a candidate through their complete interview application while you ask questions about each area of the application and do your active listening as he's answering your questions. And I'll walk you through making the assumptive job offer and setting up the second interview. Then we move into week 6, Method, training one, using the collaborative interview, the show of knowledge, and DOT application. This is an important last step in the training where we'll help your new driver recruit get started on the right foot while leveraging the power of the assumptive job offer. This is the final part of the collaborative interview process that we call the show of knowledge. I'll show you exactly how to walk a candidate through every area of the DOT application and your company's policies so you can read their body language while asking critical questions. You'll also see how to set up the background check and drug screen in addition to setting them up for payroll and HR without you ever saying you're hired, all using the power of the assumptive job offer.
Now that's some hiring system, right? Well, what's great is you're about to see how you can get all the benefits of qualified truck drivers without having to go through that entire lengthy learning and recruiting process, because we can do it all for you. I'll get to how that works in just a moment. First, I want you to know the Transportation Guys serves all different types of customers. We have companies that are over the road, regional, and local. Because of the results our company delivers, we have billed tens of millions of dollars in truck driver recruiting fees. As you can see, we do this stuff every day, and we're damn good at it. All because of the hiring system we just shared with you, the Driver DNA hiring system. Jack's companies have worked with, trained, or staffed hundreds of top trucking companies, private fleets, and third-party logistics carriers, putting tens of thousands of truck drivers to work in all different industries using the Driver DNA hiring system. So how does this all pertain to you? Well, if your company is like most trucking companies, private fleets, and third-party logistics companies in today's world, you're most likely having trouble with your truck driver attraction, recruiting, and retention. And if you're like most, you still haven't come up with a solution to your big recruiting problems. You know the driver shortage is just getting worse and worse, yet you still have not found an answer. Well, I have news for you today that may rock your world. The driver shortage? It's a myth. That's right. The fact is, there are more truck drivers out there than ever, looking for a better job than the one they have right now. If you read our white paper that Jack sent you, The Science of Truck Driver Recruiting, you already know about the new economy job market, and that recruiting, hiring, and training the top driver talent in the new economy has changed. Recruiting truck drivers and retaining them is now harder than ever. Recruits are now in the driver's seat. They know companies like yours are struggling to hire and retain qualified truck drivers. What makes matters worse is, in today's world, the job search never ends. In the new economy job market, drivers are searching for a better job online. They're responding to job posts from your competitors while at a delivery or on lunch break. They are looking for a better job on your time. The widespread adoption of fast internet nationwide is one cause of this. Drivers review posts on the major job boards and respond to them with their phone or tablet. They also set email alerts on the major job boards like Indeed, set to alert them to job postings that match what they're looking for. Now here's the part that is really affecting companies like yours right in your wallet. Once you hire a new recruit, that means paying for advertising, paying to interview them, paying to screen them and send them to your TPA for a drug screen, and more. You hire your new recruit, then a week later, they quit. They found something better. Do you know how much it costs every time this scenario plays out? A bad truck driver hire is estimated to cost a company from $3,000 to $6,000, even $8,000 per recruit. How many times does this have to happen to you before you say, enough already? Want to know the second biggest reason why your new hires don't stay with you very long? It's because you're using outdated methods for recruiting truck drivers in the new economy job market. Remember from our white paper where Jack mentioned that recruiting truck drivers has changed? Remember everything you discovered about the new economy job market? Well, you now have two courses of action. You can change your approach to what's working now in the new economy and hope it works, and still go through the churn and burn of hiring new recruits just to have them leave you shortly afterward. Or you can make your life much easier and hire all the top driver talent you want without doing any recruiting at all. That's right. So how do you do that? Well, today you're about to discover the big solution to your big problem. So you never have to worry about attracting, recruiting, screening, hiring, then having your new recruits leave you shortly afterwards ever again. You see, truck driver staffing is the answer. The Transportation Guys does all the advertising, all the recruiting, and all the screening and testing for you. We hire to your requirements and place qualified truck drivers with your company. We even handle all the payroll for you. You can look at us as your outsourced HR department. When we have a good pre-screened candidate for you to consider, we make sure you only interview qualified candidates so we never waste your time. Instead, by using our truck driver staffing service, you will always save time, money, and effort that you would normally spend on recruiting on your own, only to have your recruits leave you shortly afterwards. So what makes the transportation guys the only choice? First, we only operate in the transportation industry. Our only focus is getting you the qualified truck drivers you need, period. It's what we do every day, and we're very good at it. Here's what Bob Waterman from Material Transport had to say about our services. I was looking for an agency that could provide a steady, ongoing source for qualified drivers, and that would perform initial screening, reference checks, background checks, and safety performance history requests in order to save me time and money. Jack Watley at the Transportation Guys delivered what I wanted. By asking detailed questions, Jack's agency was able to send drivers that more closely fit my needs. And here's what Wallace from MVE had to say. There are always concerns using a staffing company for our driver needs, unless we are using the Transportation Guys. They have the experienced and versed drivers who meet our qualifications. The Transportation Guys were willing to work with us where others wouldn't, and have the ability to work with the qualifications our drivers need to find us good candidates. They have kept it simple and turnkey and have taken great care of our driver needs. Next, because of our unique recruiting practices that you've discovered today that would still require you to do most of the hard work yourself, we are able to hire the top qualified truck drivers available in your area even on short notice. Plus, with our proprietary hiring system, Driver DNA, you will retain the truck drivers placed with your company far longer than from other sources, and far longer than you would with drivers you recruit on your own. We offer two levels of service for companies like yours. You can either get qualified truck drivers with our lease to use service that you contract from the Transportation Guys, or you can go with our lease to hire service, where you can test out a driver to see how you like them, then hire them later on and make them your own employee. In either case, you can count on a qualified, experienced truck driver from the Transportation Guys every time. Here's why you don't have to recruit truck drivers to serve your clients. As you've already discovered, we're letting you in on a little secret that most companies are not aware of. You don't have to worry about attracting, recruiting, and retaining truck drivers to serve your clients. Even though this sounds strange, I assure you it's true. These days, most companies like yours are having trouble keeping butts in the seats and your trucks rolling. Just remember what we talked about earlier. This plays out in the trucking industry every day. Each and every time it does, it costs companies like yours from $3,000 to $8,000 for each bad hire that leaves you shortly after being hired. Now, I want to share why you don't have to recruit truck drivers to serve your clients, only to have them leave you soon afterwards. What can you do to fix your recruiting and retention problems? The answer is the truck driver staffing service from the Transportation Guys, which is used by many companies in our industry just like yours every day. In today's world of truck driver recruiting, you have to be prepared to have truck drivers leave you at a moment's notice, because the truck driver you hire today can be gone tomorrow. Like you've discovered today, the world of recruiting truck drivers has changed dramatically. Truck drivers know they have the power in the driver shortage, which is not really a shortage at all. The reality is, in the eyes of the truck driver, the job search never ends, which means the driver you hired 2 weeks ago has no problem at all leaving you for something better. There are so many qualified truck drivers out in the market looking for something better that there is no shortage of drivers to hire. When a truck driver leaves you, there are two scenarios that can play out. You either go back to your same old truck driver recruiting process that does not work as well as it used to, taking a new candidate through the costly process of interviewing them, screening them, then hiring them and training them, only to have that new driver leave you in a few weeks, putting you right back where you were to start with. Or you can just pick up the phone and call the Transportation Guys to send over a top truck driver who is already screened and qualified to serve you. Here's what one of our clients had to say about using our truck driver staffing services. We keep using the Transportation Guys because they are reliable and their service is excellent. Robert B., Terminal Manager at RL. In addition, this new truck driver will be much less likely to leave you for another job because of the effectiveness of our proprietary Driver DNA interview and hiring process. Would you rather just pick up the phone and have a qualified truck driver at your location in just days? Or will you try to hire a new driver yourself and go through the whole revolving door process again and again? It's time you got the whole story about the Transportation Guys truck driver staffing services. What's great is you can try out a truck driver with our lease to use service, and when you like them, you can hire them and keep them permanently. And remember, a truck driver you hire from the Transportation Guys will be much less likely to leave you because of our unique interview and hiring process. Why struggle with recruiting and retaining truck drivers when you can get all the drivers you need with one phone call? If this sounds like an interesting option for your company, you can schedule a free, no-obligation consultation with one of our truck driver placement managers by clicking the button below this video. Our truck driver recruiting and staffing service, this saves you serious cash on truck drivers. Have you ever crunched the numbers to see how much it costs you to hire just one new truck driver for your company? If you have, you know it's not cheap. Plus, if a driver you hire leaves you shortly afterward, all that expense has been for naught, which we talked about earlier. However, when you stop struggling to hire the truck drivers you need on your own, to have most of them leave you shortly afterward anyway, and make the shift to using pre-screened and qualified drivers from the Transportation Guys lease to use or lease to hire staffing services, you set yourself up to save some serious cash with every new recruit. The fact is, using a truck driver staffing service not only saves you money on the drivers you hire, you also save money from not needing an entire in-house recruiting staff. Plus, with our unique and highly effective recruiting system, Driver DNA, you can tap into our recruiting expertise that your staff just can't match. Now, you might be thinking, are these temp drivers? Are they labor pool drivers? No way. Our drivers are not temp service drivers or labor pool drivers or anything like that. They are the cream of the crop. They're working now. Yet, they are looking for a better position, perhaps with your company. All because of our large network of qualified drivers who are looking for a better position. We have enough qualified drivers that you can even get one on short notice if that's what you need. Want to save even more? Compared to you having to do all the recruiting process yourself, our staffing service handles all the costs related to screening, background checks, qualifications, and TPA drug screening. Plus, we handle all of the payroll management for staff we send you and all the benefits administration. With our unique hiring process, you will also enjoy having truck drivers who are far more likely to stay with you for the long term. All because our Driver DNA hiring process gives truck drivers exactly what they want from a driving job. Want to see how our truck driver staffing programs can boost your business? Book your no-obligation truck driver staffing consultation now by clicking the button below this video. Believe me, you'll be glad you did. Here's how to cover your seasonal driver needs. Does your company haul produce or other shipments that are seasonal in nature, where you use truck drivers for part of the year and don't need them for much of the other part? Well, why go through all of the advertising for job openings, interviewing candidates, plus processing new hire documentation for a relatively short period of employment? The Transportation Guys has relationships with truck drivers we've already identified as dependable, reliable, and conscientious. Plus, our lease to hire and lease to use drivers can help you when you're in a pinch, supplying you with the drivers you need in a matter of days. We can help you when one of your drivers are on vacation or calls out sick too. Here's what Mark J. at CMI had to say about us. Jack Watley and his team at the Transportation Guys have continuously met and or exceeded my expectations at every level, having assisted me on several projects that included local driver recruiting for peak and non-peak work, and on a large-scale startup projects for new distribution center openings. I can attest that his level of professionalism and commitment to produce is above the best in the transportation industry. If you require the best, then look to Jack and his team to help you as they have helped me. What's great is, if you need drivers for permanent positions, you can use our lease to use service to observe a driver's performance, qualifications, and work habits before offering them a permanent job. This also reduces turnover once the trial period is complete, because both the employee and you, the employer, are satisfied that the job is a good fit for both parties. You see, we also have a much larger network of available, qualified truck drivers ready to be interviewed by you. Again, these are not temp service drivers or anything like that. They're working now, but looking for a better position. So if you've had it with your truck driver recruiting that just doesn't seem to work like it used to, and you're ready to take the easier path to always having the qualified drivers during your seasonal time of year and any time, book a no-obligation phone consultation by clicking the button below this video now. Now here's some additional big news you're going to like. You actually getting much more for much less. That's right. In today's world, how many times are you in the position to get much more than you expect for much less? Hardly ever, which is why this is such big news. For way less than you are paying now to advertise on the job boards, for way less than you are paying now to interview new driver candidates, for way less than you are paying now to screen and hire new truck drivers, only to have them leave you shortly afterward. You can eliminate your truck driver recruiting headaches and expense for good when you tap into the big solution to your big recruiting problems. Truck driver recruiting and staffing from the Transportation Guys. Before we wrap up this online training, let's do a quick review of the big points we covered. Your company saving money and growing. For way less than you are paying to recruit the drivers you need unsuccessfully, you stand to save big bucks. Plus, you get added benefits your in-house recruiters just can't match. The fact is, our expertise in recruiting and retention has no equal. Because of our proprietary hiring system, Driver DNA, and our unique interview process, we are able to recruit large numbers of qualified truck drivers who are likely to stay with you longer, while most companies struggle to recruit one truck driver. Our existing pool of qualified truck drivers. We also have an extensive network of truck drivers who are working right now but are looking for something better for their careers. This means we can fill open truck driver positions with top driver talent in only days. Why our clients enjoy significant cost savings. Like we just talked about, using our lease to use or lease to hire truck driver staffing is much more cost efficient than the recruiting process you are using now. We cover all the cost of advertising and marketing while providing top drivers cost effectively. This lets our clients who are dealing with fixed costs each and every month for their driver recruiting staff to move to a variable cost model where you pay for what you need when you need it, versus paying a full-time staff for seasonal or occasional recruiting efforts. We also help you reduce risk. With our lease-to-use service, you can better manage risk. Since the drivers we place with you are employees of the Transportation Guys, we take on all the risk. Plus, you gain more flexibility in your hiring, since you can try out one of our lease-to-use drivers to see if they're a good fit before you make an obligation. When you like a driver and want them to become your employee, our lease-to-hire program enables it to happen. Again, all of our truck drivers are top professionals, not temps or drivers you expect to find at the labor pool. So if you're tired of going through the entire advertising, interviewing, screening, and hiring process, only to have your recruits leave you shortly afterward, what are you waiting for? Book your free truck driver recruiting and staffing consultation today. Just click the button below to schedule your free 30-minute phone consultation and see how you can get much more for much less. This is easier and brings more truck drivers. We know you don't often see something that brings you more while being much easier. It just doesn't work like that in the real world, right? Well, we have more good news. You can get the top truck driver talent you need in a way that is much easier than the approach you're using now, all without struggling with recruiting issues that you're not qualified to handle, without having to search high and low to identify hard-to-find qualified driver candidates, with the skills and experience you need to keep your trucks rolling, without having to understand the complicated dynamics of job seekers in the new economy job market. Because when you tap into the Transportation Guys lease to use or lease to hire truck driver staffing services, we take on all the work to identify the right candidate for your open positions, so you don't have to. Here's what Virgil at Ryder had to say about his experience with the Transportation Guys. Jack has been able to adapt to our market demands and supply us with qualified drivers at times on very short notice. Their ability to match candidates to my specific driver needs allows me to spend time managing other aspects of my operation. We make the recruiting and hiring process much easier and bring you better results than your in-house recruiting staff can. So you have the time to run and grow your business. If you're ready to make your life easier while always having the top driver talent at your fingertips when you need it the most, truck driver staffing from the Transportation Guys is your answer. See how much easier your business can be every day. See how many more truck drivers you can have in your pool making deliveries for you every day when you let the best handle your truck driver recruiting and staffing needs, the Transportation Guys. Also, this value goes straight to the bottom line. Did you know that the value of filling key positions with qualified candidates quickly and efficiently goes straight to your bottom line? Using a professional staffing company like the Transportation Guys for outsourced recruiting processes for your business can be the best solution to staffing shortages when you have a lack of resources for recruiting. With our services, you will alleviate staffing shortages and hire qualified candidates when your company lacks the time, personnel, and funds for effective recruiting campaigns. You get more of the skilled candidates you are looking for, but cannot find. Since your company is in a very competitive industry, the trucking and transportation industry, where it's hard to find qualified candidates, our professional recruiting and staffing service can give you access to more skilled candidates at lower cost than if you do the recruiting yourself. The Transportation Guys Recruiting and Staffing Company is highly experienced and focused on one thing: finding you the right candidates for your open positions. Qualified candidates that fit your requirements for truck drivers every time. We have extensive networks and recruiting technology that makes the recruiting process faster, easier, and more cost-effective than you could ever achieve on your own, even with your own in-house recruiter. So book your free no-obligation recruiting and staffing consultation from the Transportation Guys today. You have nothing to lose, and a much easier and cost-effective way to hire and retain the top driver talent you need to gain. Hope you got a lot from this important mini training. We look forward to speaking to you on your free no-obligation recruiting and staffing services consultation from the Transportation Guys. This is Ken Leonard from the Transportation Guys team. On behalf of our founder and president,